from IT industry perspective for any organization, I think COVID or pandemic has been a disaster, a huge disaster, and as well as blessing. Not just uplifting your physical infra to cloud infra, etc., but invest into the areas which helps business goals. And supply chain maintaining that core is one of the business goal and objective.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Gaurav Batra show. Today we have very interesting topic, that is supply chain risk management. This is very critical and important topic for all the organizations today, as we have diverse application, vast components and many vendors operating with us. To discuss on this topic, we have Yogesh Dadke. He's very near and dear friend to me. He's industry veteran with 25 years of experience and have major experience in automotive manufacturing and supply chain management. Let's see what we have in play today. Hello Yogesh, welcome to the Gaurav Batra show.
Good evening, sir. Thank you for being here in my home office.
Thank you for hosting us, and I think the Pune's weather is fantastic today,
Absolutely.
and I'm loving it. Rain, fog,
Yeah, it's a
mist,
light
and
rain
everything. Yes,
and then greenery around.
exactly. You can
Yeah.
see behind me as well right now. Okay, you have managed this house, your office home quite well.
Correct. Thank you.
So to take this further, as I just announced that we are going to talk on supply chain risk management,
Sure.
how you can simplify it and explain my audience what this is all about.
Perfect. I mean, this is a very interesting, very important and critical topic, because a particular industry, maybe it's a manufacturing, automotive, or pharma for that matter, or hospital industry, it depend on a skeleton of services from many other organization, and small components to the large components. If we talk about a car, like there are almost 3,400 odd different components coming from different vendors and suppliers to a particular place, and then car gets assembled.
Okay.
Now, to maintain that ecosystem, it's very critical to have everyone in an inclusive power, making sure the not just the information sharing, but also the technological sharings in it. That's why this and then supply chain has been the weakest link so far
Okay.
in the industry security and compliance parameters. Maybe that's the reason it's been picking up that speed last 24 months or so, from the conversations of it, and as well as various tool implementations in the market.
Okay, thanks for simplifying it. And as you said, it's critical for the organization. So, why suddenly now all organizations are becoming more concerning about it? And I think post pandemic and COVID, so organizations have started thinking about it more. So, what
Sure.
are the different risks you will like to highlight, which make it more important for each and or every organization today?
Perfect. See, from IT industry perspective, for any organization, I think COVID or pandemic has been a disaster, a huge disaster, and as well as blessing parallel to that. I'll focus on the blessing part because many organizations' IT environment budget got boosted, and they were allowed to spend and spend at the right channels, not just uplifting your physical infra to cloud infra, etc., but invest into the areas which helps business goals. And supply chain maintaining that core is one of the business goal and objective. So as I gave the example of a vehicle having many components, it's important to receive the components from where my information technology sharing is also in a secure path.
Okay.
So while selecting a particular vendor, having that auditing mechanisms, the GRC mechanisms at my place, while selecting the supplier, is critical and important. And sometimes being a small supplier, I completely understand and agree, they may not have the resources and the talent in their pocket to afford those security mechanisms in their environment. But it
Yeah.
becomes a duty of a larger player to educate, provide the technological support, and provide the ecosystem in which they can operate securely.
And that's very strong and valid point you have put. But is how we can measure, because in our organization when we do, we put a lot of security controls, and then the
Correct.
third party is coming, and then if I take even a single bank, they has
Correct.
like 4,000 to 5,000 vendors, right? And
Exactly.
as you said,
Exactly.
for a car, a single component,
Can-
300 vendors. How we can map that which organization is taking our data,
correct.
which
Correct.
one is secure. So I think
Correct.
third party risk assessment and the vendor management is a
Absolutely.
big role.
Yeah.
You like to put some
I'll
highlights?
go in a little chronological way.
Okay.
Okay. The chronology starts from educating and giving or providing the training to the internal players. For example, my own organizational, if I'm working for an X organization, that organization will have a SPM, that is supply chain
Hmm.
team, will have an audit team, will have a coordinators team, marketing team, a vendor management team, educating them, making
Hmm.
sure they are aware what to look for, what are the possible red flags in a particular. So that becomes a auditing, vendor audit processes. Second, from the security side of it, in the audit processes, making sure what are the possible security mechanisms in place at the vendor side. Like, are they using any particular firewall? Are there possible compromises? How are their GRNs, that is goods
Yeah.
receivables, getting flow from their systems?
Hmm.
What type of ERP are they using? If it is a small player, they probably may not have a ERP.
Hmm.
Agreed, but are there security mechanisms or measures in place? Whether we are doing a proof of concept or we are doing a long term business, it's important to make sure the vendor audit takes place, internal training takes place, education to the third parties takes place, and in while taking their data or while sending some data, it happens through a encrypted secure mechanism, not just HTTPS, because
Oh, yeah.
HTTPS is a dinosaur age probably, but even making sure internal workflow APIs are locked in internal to the internal
Got it.
applications.
So as you start with HTTPS and API,
Hmm.
any case study you would like to share with the technical dependencies were there and involved, and supply chain management actually become a critical risk for any organization? Anything you like to
I'll
share?
definitely give an example from
Yeah.
my previous organizations. I was in Cleveland, Ohio,
Hmm.
and where automotive company, um, their production dependency was on a supplier, and because of this sandy cyclone, their plant got impacted, and there was no communication also. When any demand
Hmm.
process flow happens from a OEM to a supplier, it's via their own portals. So the demand was fetched, but supply could not happen
Okay.
because of the cyclone.
Hmm.
So, and at that time, it was, I'm talking about 2010, 2011 time frame. The communication, even though telephonic communication happened, the system to system communication was a failure. So,
Hmm.
here the vehicles were getting produced, but the essential component was not getting produced. So,
Produced, yeah.
not getting to that
Hmm.
plant.
Hmm.
And same thing we observed during pandemic scenarios about the silicon in the, those semiconductors were not, the
I would
ICs
say,
were
yeah,
not reaching.
exactly. For many
Many
car
organizations were
automotive
facing
organization
that
have
problem.
faced that. Yes.
To overcome, I think it's important to create internal supply chain alert mechanisms.
Hmm.
For example, there was unrest in Sri Lanka. If there is some supplier in Sri Lanka, the geopolitical alerts feed-ins should be there in the system, which can give automated alerts internally to the vendor management team that can correlate to the production team
Okay.
internally.
I think a lot of a good case study from the BCP perspective and
Correct.
resilience, and I think supply chain risk management, when we significantly talk, is about having the proper BCP and resilience
Exactly.
for the.
Yes.
So, any best practices or any thoughts on that side you would like to share?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one of my core area, that
Okay.
is disaster recovery and business contingency
Okay.
planning. And at that time, when I was certified by IBM because for their AS 400, that is IBM I series
Oh,
business
that's a,
contingency planning, and of course that technology is still dear to me, even though maybe many people may not have heard about it right now or not used it, but at that time, it was a power generation company which I'm referring to. Um, we created their complete contingency plan, but testing those contingency
Mhm.
plan is also equally important. And we got to know, or we had hard lesson learning, that please test that. You have drafted it,
Mhm.
no problem, good. You have disciplined it, you have taken a tabletop exercise about it, everything is fine. But the a lesson learning which I can share, or best practice which I can share is, please implement it, test it. Because when you
Yeah.
are testing it in a live environment, the atmosphere is completely different than the tabletop exercises.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the biggest sharing which I can do.
Okay, so
Yeah.
people are saying the tabletop exercise, so that's a big no-no. But if you have done a testing, then tabletop works. But
Yes, correct.
without testing, it will not.
Tabletop is just a makeup.
Okay.
Okay, sorry, I'm using a
Internal beauty is required.
correct.
Okay, fair
Okay.
enough.
Yeah.
So another point which you mentioned was about geopolitical, right?
Yes.
So how that impact on supply chain management, and also the one core area in that, because we have many different vendors which are now globally placed, right?
Correct. Correct.
And lot of data sharing is happening,
Correct.
different
Correct.
jurisdictions, right?
Correct.
So data protection laws, privacy, and overall management of the supply chain. So how you take that from the geopolitical angle?
Sure. I mean, see, that has been a point, right from many decades.
Mm.
However, the awareness about it has started last couple of years, and that has a reference towards the some of these war situations, and correlated with the pandemic, extraction of the pandemic
Mhm.
situations. And then some of the unrest, geopolitical unrest. One of the impacted area is, of course, our in the industry where I'm right now, is the automotive industry that got impacted very heavily because of the silicon situations,
Situation,
in
yeah.
the chip situations. Vehicles were getting produced, but they were at the warehouse because there are no active chips
Mm.
in it, kind of. Um, what can be done, situation to situation, it will differ. For small use cases, like the dependency on a particular region can be reduced. However, there are compliances in picture. For example,
Mhm.
if we talk about Europe as a region,
Yeah.
selecting, nominating, and awarding a business to a particular vendor goes through lot of parameters, including labor laws
Mm.
and unions approvals. Whereas if we go towards China or Asia Pacific business, things are little liberal compared to Europe region. But we have to also consider one of the cases, like what happened in our canal. The big ship got stuck in,
Yeah.
and for
That's what
8 days, complete global supply chain was on a
disruptive.
chaos.
Yeah.
So even a smallest thing can create that problem. And how much time we can get to keep our production up and running, how much time we have, it may be 24 hours, 48 hours, kind of. That's the SLA which organizations need to declare internally, that without this particular product, I cannot make a particular fine finished good. How much time do I have? 24 hours, 48 hours? These are the SLAs board should be aware of, not just your operations directors, but board should be aware of.
Okay, so having those right kind of SLA is very
Correct.
important. And uh, today we see, like in the technical or in the manufacturing automotive, so a lot of IoTs, emerging technologies like AI and other
Yes.
stuff is getting used.
Yes.
How that is impacting this, and not only the supply chain management, but will the SLA will be driven by these technologies, and any impact on that also you see?
Well, I'm fond of these innovative solutions. Even I have IoT solution implemented at the home also. However, more IoT solutions can help bringing automation, your MLs into the picture. But where it should be, that also is a question. For example, do I really require IoT solution to open my door? Not necessary. But do I require to automate a manufacturing channel for the organization, where that's my business goal? Instead of producing only 20 items in a shift, can I produce 40 items in a shift using a automation? Yes, that's where I should invest on. However, making sure those IoTs are functioning and are in a frame of my SDPs, that is my secure channel protocols, is more important. Because by providing remote access to my capex oriented machineries can attract malfunctioning situations, and having bad parameters coming into my ecosystem than the actual business enabler. So a token ring kind of mechanisms or protocols can be used on an OT environment, and you can keep your IT environment away, that packet cycle away from the OT environment, keeping them separate with our SD-WAN kind of technologies, or at a wider frame implementing the DMZs. I know a lot of jargons are coming into picture, but that's how it can be explained.
Exactly. Very, very valid points. And I think with the emerging technologies being business enabler, and every industry can't, just go away with that, and they need to have the best practices with all the jargons they need to learn, right? So that is there. Okay, so how you manage this in your personal space, because you said that IoT, home automation and things, and maybe my audience will love to know more about you, how technical driven you are, not only for organization but personal level. And
I mean, see, I like to bring small but effective, innovative solutions into the picture, like where we are right now, right? The lights are sensor driven. So if somebody is coming from the passage, then only the light will get switched on, otherwise it will get switched off. Kind of, these are very small things, but I have irrigation system, dripping irrigation just outside there in balcony, and there is a IoT based solution which switch on and off at like 4:30 p.m. Every day for 20 minutes, and switched off other times, because how much water should be there on the plant, that also is from the study that we did.
So means you are a doer, not just
I like to implement it,
stuff,
not just talk about it.
Is this the way how you keep yourself updated with the technology?
Absolutely.
Use first, then with the organization.
Correct. So I mean, when the people were talking about video conferencing and kind of, I tested it at my home first, before even taking it to the organization, or taking it to, or talking about it, how it works, what kind of bandwidth will it require, what kind of setup it will attract, etc. So I like to test it even before I suggest it to someone.
Amazing. And I think it was really nice talking to you guys, and
thank you so
knowing
much
more about it. But I have one more question, the last one. If I say in simple 3 lines, okay?
Mhm.
How you will like to tell the professionals today to manage the supply chain risk management in a better way?
Sure.
Simple advice, direct to the audience.
Okay. So, point one, know your suppliers. That is from the inventory point of view. What do they do? What do they supply to you, and how useful they are? What are the in supplier ecosystem also, you may have same supplier providing you same product from multiple directions. How much dependency, organizational dependency and business dependency on them,
Yeah.
understanding that is critical, and that too in a dollar value.
Okay.
Okay. So for example, Mr. Batra is providing me roses that is going to cost me 2 rupees, and that's important for me to have that on the table every day. Then it becomes a critical point of attraction. So coming back to the basics is critical. Understanding single point of failures,
Okay.
that's equally important. For example, like giving the uh, I like roses, I want to have rose on my table every day. Mr. Batra is providing it to me. If he is not
Providing on
able
that
to
particular.
provide it,
Yeah.
then it becomes a single point of failure.
Yeah.
So identifying those and mitigating that solutions is second lifeline to the business.
Okay.
And the third one is how effectively we can switch on and off from those suppliers is third line of life that we can provide it to the supply chain.
Awesome, and I think you have simplified it for everyone. And great talking to you. So, as a ritual, I have something for you,
Oh, thank you
Yogesh.
so much. That's not
Thank you.
necessary,
Thanks for
but thank
being
you
on
so much.
the GB show. It was really insightful talking to you.
Thank you so
And
much.
guys, stay tuned and do like, subscribe, and follow for more interesting topics. Take care. Bye bye. Be
Thank you
safe.
so much. Thank you, Raj.
Thank you.